Good morning. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm a little late. Hey, Steven, are you down here?
I'm down here.
At some point, do you think you could get me socks?
At some point.
Okay. Thank you. It's cold.
But you only figured it out right now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
This is a water brush, and I realized it's been sitting closed and there was condensation, so we're gonna leave that open to dry out. I don't really use that. Hi everyone, we're gonna continue to work on this today, this watercolor. Here's my photo. I should probably spin them so they're right side up. There we go. I cut out this leaf of the painting because I thought it was detracting. And then I also cut out this flower bud. So we're just going with the orchid and these two buds and then the spike. So we're doing a lot of layers, and we talked a bit last week about starting with your lightest colors. So I had started with the yellow, which you can't really see in here very well, and there's a little bit of yellow like under my thumb here. And then we started to build our colors. So we're gonna keep doing that today. Let's see, mid-cam. There's like 6 or 7 different buttons to switch the cameras on this Stream Deck, and I have to like look at them and remember what they each mean every time. So I still have these Raphael watercolors, and I did get the QRO golden watercolors last time I did this, which was 2 weeks ago. But I don't want to switch in the middle of a painting. But if I finish this or need this to dry, I do have those down here, so I can put them in a palette and we could do a little swatching and compare. We need a printout diagram. So like I look at it and it's overhead, yeah, got that, that's easy. And then there's mid, table zoom, wide cam. So I have to like think, okay, well table zoom, wide, and then I have to like remember. And then we have left and right, and we have a split. Split's the best one. So we're gonna work on this today. We have a 7-month resub from the Grackle Peck and 8 months from the Fire Goddess. Not the Fire Goddess, just Fire Goddess. Good morning. I had a yearly physical this morning, so I was up and am trying to mentally switch from one thing to another, from like this to painting. So we're getting there. Everything go well? Everything went great. All of my blood tests were great. I am perfect. They said I was probably dehydrated day of when I took labs the other week. My blood pressure has been historically quite high, and it was back to normal. In fact, it was below 120/80. Congrats on acing the blood test. I can ace that test. Can I get socks now?
Yeah, I suppose.
Thanks. Do you know where they are?
No.
Okay. The tall dresser?
Oh, you mean just like your socks?
A pair of socks,
Yeah, I
yes.
know where your socks are.
Yeah, a tall dresser, second drawer down. There's like a tan pair, maybe, if not.
What room is this in?
The garage.
Okay.
Okay. This room is cold. Okay, so with watercolor, we talked last time, which was 2 weeks ago, about continuing to layer things. So like this part of this flower is a lot darker in the photograph, so I'm just going to start doing things like that and layering the darker and darker pinks. And there's a pink in this palette of paints that is absolutely perfect for this, so I'm going to continue to work with that. And if I feel like it's too purple, I can add more of the red to it. And if I feel like it's too red, I can add some blue to it to cool it down. But it's kind of pretty as it is. So I have coffee and I have kombucha this morning.
I'm not throwing you these.
Why?
Because there's 4 things I could knock over.
1, 2, what's the 4th thing?
You, here.
You're gonna knock me over with socks?
I can throw them pretty hard.
All I need now is a soda. I have a drink for energy, a drink for hydration, and I need a drink for fun. These are the nice wool ones I got from Costco. Also, because I was out, I'm wearing jeans and they are not comfortable. They're good to stand in. They are not great to sit in. Okay. There, now I can be warm. I do wish I had a hair tie, but I can live with that. It is staticky. Before I put water or paint in this paint water, we'll just do a little bit of this. Okay. We're good to start now. Ask Kirk to get you a hair tie. I don't need a hair tie. I do need paper towel. Here it is. I thought I had grabbed that. Is this a lyric song? I can't hear music today. It's Brahms' Lullaby. There. I don't know why I don't hear any of the music today, but that's fine. I can be okay with that. Okay, so I also feel like the background needs to be bigger because like I only brought it to around here. So I feel like I should do another layer and bring it out further a little bit. Something in this room is making a noise. I think it's the computer. What do I want to start working on today? I feel like I want to start on the flower spike. But like if I start on the main foul orchid, I can maybe get 2 layers in if I do the first one now and then do everything else. And then I can go back and do another on this. And I think that's the way to go. All of these lines, all of these little veiny marks are gonna be like the last thing I do. So we're gonna do the smart thing and we're going to do a layer on the orchid itself first. So I was in Minnesota last week, which is why I was not here on a Friday morning. And it was very cold. And I had a hotel breakfast one morning, the first morning, and it was really bad. So then every subsequent morning I decided I was going to go try out a new coffee shop, and I did. I feel like I could have made this darker. So you see how dark that is already for this next layer? And it gets lighter towards the center of the flower, so I'm just going to start to fade that with water as I get towards that.
I'll take it if you don't want it.
I made the water container really tall today and I really filled it with water, so it's kind of a pain with this little brush. So see what a big difference that one petal made a lot? It's really done a lot to the painting to really help bring it together. One petal. Like it's starting to actually feel like it matches now. And like this kind of looked cohesive and pretty on its own, but as we start to build the layers, it really comes together. Let's make this a little shorter and try not to get water everywhere. Yum, Dorgon. One. I'm used to being able to wipe my hands on my apron when I paint, and that's not possible today. I don't want to ruin these jeans. We have an 18-month resub from Detran. Good morning. I do need to do my nails. I keep breaking them. I did do a lot of bike work this week, and I broke another nail doing that last night, and that was very sad. I think I'm just gonna rotate around in a circle. Hi Mel and chat, happy Friday. Happy Friday to everyone. It's a good Friday. Not the Good Friday. I'm having a good day. I'm gonna go for a bike ride. Preferably one that doesn't mean I have to take apart the entirety of my bike. That looks way better. I'm much happier with just these two petals. The only sad thing about my Friday is the upcoming snowstorm this weekend. We're supposed to get snow next week. They're saying like Tuesday or Wednesday maybe. And I missed it last week because I was in Minnesota getting snow. Okay, next petal. I'm kind of feeling like I need to use a different shadow color on these inner petals instead of more pink, because I need to shade it in a desaturated way and not just a more intense way, which is what I'm starting to notice. I mean, it needs to be more pink overall, but it also needs to have more of a shading color, so we'll have to deal with that. Moose says, I imagine there's more excitement with getting snow in places that normally don't, unlike in Minnesota where I imagine it's business as usual. Yeah, it was pretty business as usual when I was there. I was scraping off my sister's car one morning, and there was this couple with a Dakota license plate. And they were like, I suppose we should have figured there'd be snow in Minnesota. And I'm thinking, you guys are from the Dakotas, you guys get snow. That's better. Nunchoos, as a South Dakotan, I concur. This is looking so much better. It's wild what a second coated paint is doing for this. I'm trying not to be too detailed and perfect about it, which is something I'm always guilty of. All right, let's work on the center here. I think layer 3 needs to be a shading color. So we're gonna have to find a good shading color for this. So what I'm gonna quick do is I'm going to make myself a little swatch of this. Okay. Now the center part here is super dark, and I'm trying to remember what I'm looking at. Okay, that's good. I'm having to work a little backwards with it because I can't really tell anymore what I had drawn because it was a week ago. I think I'm breaking a watercolor rule right now by doing this. We have a 21-month resub at tier 2 from Sage of Stars. Good morning. All right, well, at least, if I'm going to break this rule, let's at least match it on this side. We also have a 5-month resub from Crisara, who says, "Hi friends, good morning." Still painting Orchid. We also have a hype train, and I cannot hear the music, so I'm sure the vibe is just exactly what I want. What is this? Mountain Dub? Don't know that one offhand. I'm just using the same brush for everything, and it's working really well. This is the brush that came with this little cheap watercolor set. I do recommend this set. Like, it's pretty decent for what it is. That's looking better. Now this petal needs another layer. And then we'll have almost made the whole round trip. What was the set again? This is Raphael. They still sell this because I just looked it up. I did get it, approximately like forever ago. I did go and stretch a piece of watercolor paper instead of using this binder clip thing for something else. And I haven't done anything on it yet. I need to. Good morning, Brett. We're doing a watercolor painting. Oh shoot. I accidentally painted outside of my line. Fix this. And I think I put down too much color right here, so we're just going to kind of blend that out the best I can. Without destroying the watercolor paper by scrubbing too hard. I do wish I had less water in my water pot. It's a little too full. It's okay. I'm dealing with it. I'm gonna complain about it, but I'm dealing with it. So one of the things I did get to do last week is I had forgotten to title Big Canvas for Carly when I had stretched it originally. So I did get to do that. Please tell me you called it Cabin Under a Milky Way Sky. I was talking to Kyle's mom, and she was complimenting the painting because she's very sweet and I love her. And I was like, yeah, I don't remember like why I kept thinking Carly wanted a cabin. Like there was something in my head that was just like, yes, cabin. No, it has a different name. I won't remember it offhand, but I do have it in a note. And it's a little bit of a personal name because it is for my niece. So it will be called something different when it does get on Redbubble eventually. I think I made this one too dark, but that's okay. It's still pretty, it still works. But I did go all the way through all the petals, so we're gonna let them dry. Maybe work on a little bit of the other stuff and then do another layer on the actual petals. Because like this spike is like dark brown and I started by putting a layer of green. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new color for that. I'm gonna take some of this green. Can we see this? Just move it over. If I switch to only overhead cam, you could see it. So we're gonna take some green. take just a little bit of the red and just darken it a little bit. And it's pretty, I think it's kind of warm, so I think I need to cool it down. Once I get all the green out, I'll get a little bit of blue. This is why we use palette knives in acrylic painting, so we don't have to continually wash a brush. All right, so this is a little bit cooler, and I've desaturated it with the red. So I'm going to do this over the spike now, and it's not quite the darkness we need yet, but like I said, when we started this today, it was only one layer. Now we are putting our second layer on of everything. And some things will get many more layers and some won't. I should, however, look at my reference image. That would be good. And like the flower spike has changes in it, it's not just one color, because like as much as I've painted right, the second is actually more brown. And then like up here, these pieces are more green. So I'm going to do those in these layers and painted all this just to start darkening it. But that'll start to get other colors and layers in time. Did I take the original photo? Yes, this is actually my orchid, Penelope, who has since not survived. I had her for like 10 years. I'm just using some water as I get closer to the edge of the page here to fade it out. All right. Snow Fox says, I read a post today about how orchids start out as a fungus parasite, and even the ones that move on to grow on tree bark really need specific conditions to flower. That is correct, which is why I never suggest anyone try and grow an orchid from seed. It is really, really hard because you have to introduce a fungus to them so they sprout correctly. You're better off starting with a, oh, what's it called? Sometimes they produce like an actual plant off of a flower spike. So like there's nodes where like it grows. There's a node in the photo, but it's super dark. There's a node like right under my finger here. So sometimes from the node they make another baby plant, which has a name. It starts with a K, keiki? K-E-I-K-I? Something like that. It's like a cutting, but it's like how a spider plant, like if you've ever seen like a spider plant, they make little babies. Like orchids do that too. So it's better to start an orchid that way And like sometimes you can take the nodes on an orchid and put like sphagnum moss around it, and it'll start to grow roots from that, and then you know that you can trim the flower spike and have another orchid. It's a form of propagation. Like a succulent does too, yeah. Yes, vagabond, I think that's the spelling. I believe the term comes from Hawaii, but I know some of those words are also like partially Japanese. I can't remember. It's been like 10 years since I've read up on orchids. I'm just really blown away by how much better this looks just doing one layer. Okay, these guys. They need more pink, I think. And I think that'll be our next layer for them. Vagabond, suddenly we love a little saturation, maybe a lot. You know that I'm all about that saturation. I'm very guilty of oversaturating paintings. Snow Fox says, I looked it up, the word is indeed cakey. Thank you. Ready to try cakey? Which means I have to do another layer on the background. What did I use? Did I use this ochre color alone by itself? Kinda looks like it. Kinda. Here's my cappies. Hey babies, how are you today? Are you coming to say hi, or are you just walking through the room? Where did we go? Did we leave? We did leave. We're considering where Steven is. He's upstairs, buddy. Probably. Oh, I have the hiccups.
Okay, let's pick it up again.
I want this to dry before I do another background layer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move to this. And this is the swatch of the orchid color. We're going to see if I can do a good shading on that. What I like best. Because I'm not super experienced in painting watercolor, we're going to swatch it. And I'm going to decide if I want to use black or brown or a contrast color. And the goal is to not mix up a brand new color and to use something I have. Because that would be the best. All right, so let's start by using a green. I don't love the green with this set. It's never the green I want it to be. That's too green. Let's try brown. Ooh, that just makes it look very orange. If I wanted to warm it up, that would work. Oh, we're making a second lap through the dining room. Kippy, you wanna come say hi? Let's try black. That's too much. Like, black works as a shading color, right? It's just not ideal. Because it really dulls the piece. It's not as pretty. Because, like, it's a very boring color. Like, the green is better than that. Kepler's making sure all his employees are good. Are we on task, buddy? All right, what's my next choice here? So this is too yellow of a green. I think that's the problem. Let's try a bluer green, which I have a little bit of right here. Oh yes, that's the color I want. This is the shadow. And it is darker than the other colors I was testing. But it's way more natural looking than the black is. Okay, happy with that. We're gonna switch back to the background layer, shade the orchid with that shading color. We have a 22-month resub from Jolteron, who says 22 months, that's a long time. I can't believe it's been that long. And I don't remember what color this was. I should have figured that out. Let's do a test. Yeah, it was this ochre color. Now here's the question. Do I like this brush enough to use this brush? Do I continue with the brush I was using because I like it, even though it's small for this application? I think I can make this brush work. It's a little sharper than that tiny brush I was using, so I can get into some of these little spaces more. And my goal is to be a little more heavy-handed with this. Now last time I started here and worked my way around, and that worked fine. We can do that again. because I last painted here. So starting here, that should be dry, and then I'll loop back around. And this is like a good break between it, so when my colors meet, I don't get any of these weird watermarks like I'm getting here. There's a line right here, or right here. And I'm getting one in the background right here. And I don't know if that's a paint quality issue because this is a cheaper paint, or if a paper quality issue because this is not Arch's watercolor paper. This is Strathmore cold press, the yellow cover one, which is like not the best stuff. I don't know. Watercolor is still too new. So I'm trying to be a little more heavy-handed on the color and the pigment to make it darker, to make the edge of this petal really show up. Kita says, I was going to pick some more arches up at Michael's a few days ago, but the only block they had for sale was the 80+ one, and I couldn't justify that then. Yeah, I know arches is the way to go. I'm trying to work fast on the background because I want it to blend, and I'm getting these little, like I said, the watermarks are kind of drawing a little bit, and I don't love that, but I think that's just part of the thing. Part of the process of watercolor. Is there a Christmas song playing? Phone call? Oh, Steven said it was July on Wednesday. I see. Nope. Don't paint on top of that. It's a little easier to erase acrylic. If you're quick. It's way easier to erase oil. The yellow is really helping now that it's getting a bit darker. Especially on these light edges of the orchid. I don't know if they were showing up in camera as well as they are in person. you got a bristle. Or a cat hair. Okay, that helped immensely. We have a 22-month resub from Aiden. Happy 22 months. We're almost to 2 years. That's what I was just saying. It's ridiculous that it's been that long. All right, we're gonna give this a few minutes. Oh, I still have coffee. Yeah. Okay, so my next layer is going to be the shading color that we tested. Come here, that color, which is a blue-green. And we're gonna do that on the orchid. We're gonna put that on the spike. A little bit on these loops, and then more on the spike itself. And then we're gonna also do that on the flower buds. Coffee is room temp. I don't want to do this yet. I want it to dry a little bit more. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna swatch these guys. Come here. All right, so this is the nicer watercolor set I bought. This is Golden's watercolor, QOR. I wonder if they have a pronunciation for that, or if they just say QOR. Noah says if you had iced coffee, it would still be cold. I do love iced coffee. Oh, it has these little feet. Let's put the feet on. One. It comes with 8 because the lid is your palette. Come here, lid. Do I want them? Yeah. I can always take them off. Vagabond says it's pronounced core, I think. That would be like them. They also have an oil paint line. Which I have a sample of. Maybe someday I'll do a small study in a value scale with the sample I have. I don't know. Okay. How do I want to lay this out? And like, I could use this and do little stuff to travel in, but I bought this other one that closes better. Do I want to do this color wheel order? Or do I want to do like warm, cool, neutral? There's a lot of warms. That's the problem. And do I want to put it in the big palette or do I want to put it in the little palette? And these are not in the order in here that I would put them in. I am picky. Okay. So we're gonna do just little bits of this. And I suppose I could start to put it in the little one too, but I'm not going to. Quinacridone, Alizarin Crimson. You are quite dried out. Pyrrole Red, Random Order. Ah, yes. Pyrrole Red Light is very orange. Benzimidazolone. You're kind of a neutral. Let's see. Nickel Azo. Hansa. I can tell you right now that the little holder for all these is gonna get tossed real soon. Come here. It's so tiny. How big are these? 5 milliliters. Super tiny. Alright, that was burnt sienna. Now, phthalo green. How will you hold them without it? Phthalo blue green shade. Best color in here, ultramarine blue. I suppose I could probably put more in each of these, but I do want to put some in my travel one. And let's see, Pain Gray should be the last one. Oh, you are also quite dried out. So you're functioning as black in this palette, even though your Pain's Gray. 6, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's all of you. All right. Let's do a little swatch. The best color to swatch right now is going to be yellow ochre because I think this is yellow ochre. Now I really don't expect there to be much of a difference. I expect there to be a difference in how it dries. We shall see. Could I make my own Payne's Gray mix since that's how it was originally done? Yeah, Payne's Gray is like ultramarine blue and carbon. maybe, I forget. It's on the back of the golden bottle tube. Let's swatch ultramarine blue. Ooh. I think it's burnt sienna. It might be. I have burnt sienna on the pack. What else do I want to swatch? Let's try this green, because the green in the Raphael set is very different. I'm trying to see if there's a color that matches the quinac might match. Ooh, is that saturated? Yeah, these are incredibly saturated compared to the others. So this set isn't bad for what it is, honestly, comparing them. I think it's a little more grainy, although the ultramarine blue is quite grainy, but maybe that's just a grainy pigment. But like this is drying super smooth and the edges are softer. I don't know how to describe that. This yellow is warmer from the other set. Granulating? Yeah, I think so, Akita. Like the ultramarine blue is super granular, but nothing else seems to be. I know there's things you can add to your watercolors to make them do that on purpose. What else do I want to try? Let's try phthalo blue. Ooh, is that pretty? I think I could do a color wheel with this set better than the other set. Because I did that last week. That's this little thing here. And I might do that over here. I haven't tried all of them, but I do want to try Payne's Gray. This was black. Yeah, it's basically, it's acting as a cool gray to do some shading. Okay. Sorry, Noah. I just spoke the word granular to my postdoc while you said granular and it made my brain break. Bet you didn't know you were teaching an art class. Yeah, the ultramarine blue is very granular. So what happens is it looks like, if you've ever done the little thing when you were in like middle school art, one of the things we do with middle school painters doing watercolor is we are teaching them different ways to apply watercolor paint. So like you can do something like paint just with water, and then what's a color I haven't used yet? I haven't used this color yet. And then you can like kind of touch to it. Oh, you can't even see yellow. That was a smart choice. And let it kind of just bleed into where the water is. And you can also do that to like blend. So we talk about doing like wet on wet, wet on dry. So I can do that with like this red. Let's put blue on it. So I'm gonna load some blue onto my brush, and then I'm gonna go on top of this red, because this is dry. And then I can do that. So one of the things we do when we do watercolor like intro stuff is you do that, but then you can also like put one down, and while it's wet you can sprinkle some salt on it and see what effect that has on the watercolor because of how it dries. You can put saran wrap and like push it down and then let that dry and then peel it off, and it leaves a cool texture if you're doing something a bit more contemporary looking or something, or experimental. You can also like lay down things like lace and then put some watercolor in a spray bottle and spritz it, and then it'll leave that shape and that pattern of the lace on the paper. I do know the salt can be detrimental in the quality of the paper and degrade it over time, so it's not ideal, but it does leave cool effects. And this is a sample piece, this paper here, so I have half a mind to go get like 5 different types of salt that I have and just do it for fun. And I think I'm going to do that. Let me grab some rock salt, some kosher. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I want table salt. Table salt. The whole spice cabinet. So we're gonna set this aside. We're gonna move this. Can we get a Mal Teach stream sometimes? And what I think is going to happen is once I do this, I don't want salt on anything else, so I'm probably going to wrap it up after this. And we'll be done with Orchid 1 for today and give that a better chance to dry. Okay. Do I have a pen? No. We're gonna have to label these with watercolor, that's fine. Tag yourself I'm kosher. So we're gonna start with table salt. So I'm gonna do a pretty heavy water layer. And we're gonna just start with red. This one's going to be table salt, TS. Table salt. My coffee's empty, so. Okay, table salt. I'm gonna skip orange even though I'm going in, or sorry, I'm gonna skip yellow even though I'm going in rainbow order because you won't see it. This one's going to be, this one will be sea salt. Let's do fine kosher. I didn't label that one. Shoot. Why are we mixing salt? We're seeing what it does to the watercolor. Fine kosher, we'll do coarse kosher. This blue. This is going to be coarse kosher salt, and this is fine kosher salt. And then I have one more. This really isn't much coarser than the other one. The last thing I have is these white salt flakes. We will try that last. And we'll use that pink that I'm using on the Orchid for that. What are these? Salt flake. These are like pyramid shaped. I like to imagine this is what the sumo wrestlers are throwing because it's chunky. This one I suspect will do the least amount because it is super weird. Okay. We can see it in the first 3 so far. Can you kind of see how it's looking spotted? Let's clean up the salt. Let me take a photo and post it. All right, so that's the close-up. So you can see the top one, this one, because it started first, you can see it better. And the fine kosher is the green one, and that one's starting to show up a lot too. So those of you that live where they salt the roads, these patterns will look familiar. So this will have to dry a lot, especially the coarse kosher salt, like it's still really grouped around the salt. But once it dries, you just kind of like brush all the salt off into the trash can. And then you see what it looks like. Noah says, yeah, that pattern is on my car. Yeah, it's like a fractal. Because the salt is bleeding into the watercolor and then pushing the color pigments away from it. So like I said, this is pretty destructive long term for a painting to have salt in it, but it does give some cool effects. So if you're doing something that you want to have a look or a texture, it is something you can do. I'm not going to be putting it on the orchid. And now that there's salt everywhere, I'm going to clean up. But I think I'm going to put some more of the tube watercolor into my travel case. So I have that ready to go next time I go somewhere and paint. But I am happy with the core watercolors from Golden. They're pretty pigmented, things are pretty smooth except for ultramarine, but like Kita said, I think that that's just the way that pigment is, because Golden makes different types of acrylics. Their high flow ultramarine blue separates and doesn't like to stay mixed with its medium, its acrylic medium. So I think that's just how ultramarine blue is as a pigment. So we're gonna let this sit. We're gonna grab the travel case and we're gonna fill this with some of these as well. So let's see. I don't particularly want to put them on this side because this is the lid yet. I don't have enough colors to warrant that. I can just use this as a palette for now because when I'm done, I'm gonna want to be able to close it and keep it right side up. So I think I'm gonna start by keeping my colors down here because I only have 12. And I can watch the salt dry while I do that. All right, let's look at this as reference. I got such a big palette for that. I didn't need to. Hello, Jennifer. And I'm also going to get rid of this holder system in here because I dislike it a lot. Let's see, nickel should be next. That was very stringy. So the cool thing with watercolor is get clean. Yep, exactly. The good thing about watercolor is leaving it in the tray and waking them up with a little moisture later. Because if you painted with watercolors in elementary school, those trays, those long like Crayola trays, you just get them wet. And like you can paint with watercolors wet like this, but they dry out. And then you just get them wet again. And then they work just like the tray. What do I want next? Those are all my yellows. So I think I'm going to do, let's look at this again. Sienna? Nope, you're benzimidazoline. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sienna, and then we'll do benzimidazoline. Sorry, I beat you to it. One of these tubes is quite dried out already. And like, if it were totally dried out, what I would do is I would cut it open and then like get it wet. All right. What do I want next? I think quinac. I am gonna have to put some in the lid. Oh well, it's meant to do that. Because I have 12 colors and there are 10 across. Juniper says walking into art class and seeing the watercolor setup was always the hypest experience ever. Did I ever tell you guys the story of like my first week of teaching? Like my very, very, very first week as an actual teacher and not a student teacher? I was very disappointed. This is the one that's dried out a lot. Permanent crimson, alizarin crimson. Just make sure that's not gonna dry out anymore on me so I can get it out of the tube. So when I first started teaching, I was teaching elementary school, I didn't know what kind of supplies I had. So I walked into my room and I went through everything and I was like, God, there's not much. I'm gonna have to get in an order and like I have to do a curriculum from scratch. There was so much to do. I had to do a curriculum, I needed supplies, I only had a week to figure all this out and I'm like, what am I gonna do with my students for like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks until I get any supplies? So there was a little bit of construction paper, there was a little bit of acrylic, I mean tempera, you don't do acrylic with elementary. And I opened a cabinet and there's those watercolor, like the oval, open it has a brush in it, you know, that kind. I was like, okay, there's watercolor, thank God. I can at least do watercolor, we can start talking about color. We can do something with the kids for at least a couple weeks until I get everything else in. And I got everything ready to go and I did all my lesson plans based on doing watercolor for like a week. And then I went and had the first day of school and we kind of did like a little self-portrait, get to know you thing. So I had like just like printer paper for the first week. And then I went and pulled the watercolor out and was like, okay, we're gonna do watercolor on week 2. And they were all empty. They were all like dirty, like they had been used, but they were all empty. And that was super disappointing. And I was like, oh no, this was my plan for the week. Shoot. So then I called my principal in and I was like, hey, this is what I'm working with. The teacher before me, I don't know anything about them. No idea. I don't know what kind of art they did, but there are no supplies in this classroom. And she's like, oh, this is a problem. And I'm like, I know, right? And she's like, okay, well, make up your supply list and I guess you can have whatever you need because there is nothing in here. It was a rough first time teaching. We have a subscription from Juniper, awesome. Welcome. Thanks for joining today. Where is my mouse? Oh, there it is. Keyboard is off. Okay, so I did all my little trays for this. So this is my to-go travel container. Because I want to do more like plein air stuff. So I wanted to have this ready, so I'm gonna let that dry out. What level did I teach? I taught K5 for 1 year, and I much preferred teaching high school when I student taught. So after that, I taught high school art for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I don't want this. And I taught intro to art for a year where I had only intro to art students. And then my next year I got some art 2 students. And then so I had art 1 and art 2. I think I had 2 art 1s and an art 2. And then 1 art 1 and 2 art 2s the second semester. And then after that, I think I had another year of that. And then the year after that, a teacher left and I took her position because there were 3 art teachers and I was like lowest ranking for a while when I taught high school. And the highest ranking teacher left. And the teacher that was like middle ranking for experience was like, I only want to teach intro to art. She's like, I love doing it. That's what I want. I do not want the upper level art classes. You take them. And I was like, got it. So then I taught art 2, art 3, intro to photography, advanced photography. I think that might have been it. I think I had an art 2, intro photo, art 2, art 3, advanced photo, intro photo. Yeah, that would have been my last semester. And like, that was my best year of teaching ever. Like, that was my favorite year of teaching. And I still got burnt out. Because teaching is very difficult. There are many things I loved about it, but it was not great for my mental health. All right. We did all of our little palettes. Let's cover up the big one because that one does not flip on itself. And we will talk about painting. All right, so orchid picture. You're doing better things now. I mean, I much prefer what I'm doing now. So this is coming along. You can see like it's starting to match much better. There we go. It's starting to match much better. I'm very happy with that. We need to do some shading. So we're going to bring in a blue-green. Watch me forget next week what I was doing. We're shading a blue-green on the orchid. That'll be our first layer. Chaz, take notes. Sometimes I have a pen and I will, like, when I'm doing acrylic painting upstairs, I will like write on my palette with my paint pen and be like, all right, 1, next week, do shading. 2, all right, put veins on orchid. Like, I will do that for myself. But I don't have a pen. That's okay. So I want to do those things on the orchid next week. I just dropped that tiny brush way in the water. Good job. Yeah, we have to do just basically a lot of layers. We're going to do a shading of the blue-gray. That'll really help, and then maybe I'll feel like starting to do some of the little details on the orchid. I'll remember because like I'll look at this and be like, what do I have to do next? Shade. Yeah, so that'll be next Friday. The salt is still kind of drying. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry completely, and then next week I'll take another photo. We'll brush off the salt and I'll take another photo, is what I'm gonna do next week. This one's dry enough to close. Sometimes I wish I had a Chaz. I miss Chaz. We have a Combini Confessions to watch. Yeah, let's talk about the other things that are happening then. Calendar. So, Monday. Monday is going to be Okage. The last thing that happened in Okage is Ari got erased And Ari is a ghost right now, so we are going to walk around and figure out what that means. It is by far one of my favorite parts of the game. We don't have any overworld enemies to come after us constantly and try and kill us because we're just Ari alone. We don't even have Stan. I'm excited because we get to go into my favorite town as well. Everything is normal next week. Tonight, Steven and I are starting Sonic Origins. We're playing through like the original Sonic games on Switch, and then we're getting into one of the more new ones, whichever one that is. Chaz has done some fun alerts. I was like, hey, these are my ideas, and he took one of them and ran with it, and it's great. So I'm excited for you all to see it tonight. And Monday will be Okage, and next Friday we will continue the Orchid piece. And I'm hoping that this week I can get another painting up. No, we didn't do roll. Fossix, could you roll for me? Thank you. Shout out to my Patreon sponsors. Dan did the video for me for the next time-lapse acrylic painting, so that'll go up on YouTube hopefully this next week. And the same with the eBay auction and the Redbubble, which will be the Aurora piece, I believe is next. I think that's the one Dan did. I think that's the one we painted down here. Or did we do the Milky Way down here? We did one of them downstairs instead of upstairs. That was strange. So yeah, that's coming up. So be on the lookout for that. And that's all the news I have. So it is probably the nicest day this week, and my bike just got a deep clean, so it's perfect to go out and get full of mud again. So I'm gonna go for a bike ride before tonight's stream. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and I hope to see you tonight for Sonic. I'm very excited, because I don't remember much of Sonic 1. I don't know if I've even actually beaten it, so I'm excited to see it. Hope you all have a good Friday, and I will see you all tonight.